Thursday, day after 9/11, breeding, spatial intelligence, 7 Skokie lineups versus hospitals and clinics and environments of uh, hallways and anatomy of building and organizations versus the intelligence of breeding, ABC pipe start from the breeding of understanding Skokie from an airline of a pipe from inside the plane outside of 17 shot versus twerk versus some versus Mac power of an airline wife among, but it could relate to sometimes when I wake up after 9:11 p.m. It should be around the 12th today, and it could relate to the night where after there might be a fire hydrant in a house. There might be a fire hydrant. There might be a different ways to connect the different pieces of Anthony, how to connect to the process of the hydrant in different areas of Skokie. Would be Arlington before, there would be Walmart before, and then the other way to Jewel would be like Uptown Lawrence, Evanston, and there would be the way to Oakton down to Tui, the left side, because when it's an ABC process of finding where a child starts that's not Skokie child, and where an environment has to make a flow connected to an origin of how things are unlocked, to a hydrant, to a youth of a birth of areas where I know that if we got, I would know how to redeem, but sometimes if you put alphabet on a fire hydrant, you would find a breed of where to get different things that could relate to without a doorway, because the door is closed for the first time. So it would relate to how to find the process of eliminating fear through starting from the low hydrant and rising to an age that's already 30 in September. Thoughts of a hydrant are different for the first time after 2021. Sleep progression to February, crossroad progression to November, Skokie progression to jobcorp, February progression to November, Skokie, where there might be if you hear and you eliminate Drew Law School and you eliminate a house as the destination, you might get to and bison of where you might find a hydrant where to get to the next level you might find an ABC hydrant where there will be an order of process of unlocking things through a spiritual connection of a process of subconscious, and without animals, without thoughts of what I see when I'm a pilot, because when I joined the Air Force in 2011, it was already, in 2010, it was already after my European Chazelle. And then when I go to dream, somehow, uh, when parts of when God is in control, He shows how the day after 9/11, sometimes in my subconscious with the door closed, it means differently of my own personal thoughts, different than identity theft, and showing how when mom had a group last night, when I go to sleep, there might be uh, a process of the Skokie environment unlocked through what God puts in front of me, that relates to a domain of unlocking something spiritually related to other humans in the world. Like, what if someone unlocked giraffes in the way that giraffes think, but other people were in the environment of squirrels and rats? But someone unlocked a giraffe and a flamingo, and then a process of other alpha and bison phenom that came from breeding only at a time when it could relate to the fire hydrant would lead to something about the 12th in the hour of 2 p.m. where if I see a hydrant, I unlock a process outside of the 7 Skokie buildings here that is hospital, clinic, and spatial intelligence after human intelligence of age 30 fire hydrant before breeding, relating to the process of unlocking different buildings around the fire hydrant and different systems of giraffes that cause different emotion of collection of things outside of what belongs to other people, when there might be one of those systems might catch relation to a woman, because it might relate to how if you start from a puzzle piece, you unlock things from a hydrant, but the process of unlocking things starts with children, bones, body part, woman, and the order of eliminating public and progressing to there might be a healthy mouse in a Skokie outside of a public domain of relation to the assets of September 11th. Could be when I was 11, could be in 2004, could be when in the latter half of the year of 31, where there might be a connection of a start of things of how I rise to collect a bunch of information. And when Jesus exists, he can show that he's not just Skokie 2020 or a wall, or he's not a wall or a space of he might be the one who created water. He might be the one who created the deer. As the deep panteth forth the waters of my soul, give thanks to thee. So he might be the one who created the deer. He might be the one who created the pipe, and the fire hydrant would be different of how when someone sleeps, they might say, oh, I want the water to flow. I want to gather. Imagine if there was a giraffe, a hammer, and a map, and it was not just Skokie public. How would I start from the hydrant and collect things where there would be an alphabet, a zebra, and a forest, and I would collect things to get to a Jew law school, a alphabet, and a last animal, where when I collected things, it would be a man who's 40 in a fire hydrant with relation to human emotions before there would be a connection to a house, and how someone would start from a hydrant and get from A to Z, start from a different area community, get from A to F, and then start from a night after 9/11 and get from D to subconscious Z, where I wouldn't have to leave the state, but I would, and less leaving the state, I would leave the hydrant and I would find a hydrant. I would leave 11th day and I would find 20th year after a zoo. Imagine if a horse was going to turn 15, or a dinosaur or a dog, how would it start to get to those enzymes of molecules without age, where it could relate to an umbrella, a cloud. It could relate to an umbrella, a cloud. And what if there was a scammer who said, "You're gonna fear me," and that's why if I talk about a hydrant, how do I get to a terminal where my destination will be XYZ zebra lion pedestal, where somehow if I start from the start of the video and I go to the middle of the night after 9/11, where would the thoughts of God be when he was in control of the O'Hare, of the fire hydrant, and of the 5 terminals in Skokie building? That could be a hospital, a spatial intelligence in the same location of one night outside, different northern versus a fire hydrant, and southern versus hospital spatial. That could relate to a fire hydrant could have a system in itself that rises to the water, and it rises to different humans that created the hydrant and where it's located, to a process of collecting. Imagine if there was a map in the game and I had to collect 5 things in order to get to the terminal, to separate from all the humans that I've seen before today, and all the Septembers before 9/11, and all of the 30th days before the 20th year, where I could collect woman breeding fire hydrants and giraffes of breed and nothing else in between. The northern realm, I might think of 3 things. In the south building and the northern hydrant, I might think of 5 things. In the eastern doorway with the door closed, where I might collect an age of thoughts related to a fear of first George Floyd before eviction, where it might relate to a certain type of airline pilot outside of a female of beauty inside a box, outside an intelligence of an animal, an intelligence of a fire hydrant, and metal of how a hydrant is built through chemistry. Because I gotta face my fear and get this fag on recording. Because what if I say it, we could see Imagine if So imagine if the door was closed. I had my own individual thoughts where I separated from the state of subconscious. Separated from, imagine if this was the 30th. Imagine if this was the 30th Skokie for me. But it was the 90th age for someone else. So that will be a pipeline of 30 zebras and 5 human terrains around. The map around Skokie Forest. Because to get it to a pipeline to collect humans, fire hydrants, and terminals, I would have to get to that level to separate from a hydrant ABC, animal ABC, 1, 2, 3. And then I would have to leave a mouse on the right, and I would have to have the door closed, and I would have to start from an apple and a hydrant and go through human meat, human clouds, and I would have to get to a realm where collecting groups of people, groups of school buses, groups of ways without a building that sometimes it's a time my head get bigger. So it's like sometimes I get like an aerial space. Sits back will be chilling. Imagine if a hydrant, and there was a lizard, and there was an animal, and there was a human my age who was not just in bones and head and arm, but it was actually my number age versus someone might have been 40 years old when they had a crossroad when before I returned there in 2015, because to collect a squirrel in a hydrant, to collect a zebra in a hydrant, in a group of starting from the terminal and collecting 3 on 1, and then with the door closed, and then going to whatever in between the ABC to get to the September 12th in a box of whatever animal has fillings of a terminal, and then whatever is separated from metal systems of the 5 terminals of Skokie that could get to where someone a certain age will be. An animal might be have a clear frontal lobe of its own clear thoughts, because a squirrel is a squirrel and a giraffe is a giraffe. And to get to those thoughts of a child giraffe with a human and a terminal you would have to stay in counsel, because someone might try to say that they want to shine in a giraffe's eyes, because the terminal also includes jewel lost gold apples, animals apples, fire hydrant apples, will be a different collection of what it makes the heart feel of a Bible and the night before, arm and the leg, and a Tuesday and a Wednesday in between the week of September the 9th month, in between the week, outside of the 12th day and the 12th month and the 10th month, after the 9th day of the month, after August 9 letters, after George Floyd. Before, imagine if I was going to collect 13 hydrants, age 13, mixed with 13 stripes on a giraffe, but I had to go through breeding, and I had to go through 13 highways and 13 trees without dropping a giraffe's fear and a squirrel's fear, without getting to a hydrant, of staying in counsel of what could relate to a video game system that might cause someone to fear, because they don't know what's going on when people make a corporate, because they claim that when it's Google, it puts 3 marshes in one, PlayStation puts 5 cities in one, and people can't tell that when God exists. They'll say, if there's a terminal, how do I collect 5 metal things, 5 aged animals, and 5 collections of water sources, and dictionaries that collect information of 5 things in one, and get to, if there was a pentagon, I would get 5 things at one corner, 7 stages at another, without an animal in a dictionary, and a hydrant where there might be a ecosphere of a group of 5 things, that while I'm rising to that hydrant, I might be separating from the subconscious of humans that were before me, and humans that had behavioral thoughts different than someone trying to put a stingy on me when I was 19 after 99, dream before 2004, where there's been thousands of videos before 2022, after dreams from 7-year Google, after 300 days, 900 days no sleep, after jobcorp, before 99 return in 2021, before there could be, to get to this age of peace, it will be the day after 9/11, where there would be nothing that I sleep on the floor, nothing that I eat an apple, no food cooked, because when there's woman, there might be a way that I find a collection of what they feel. Before that, without woman, there might be a collection of metal, a collection of giraffes that I like to feel, because there also might be certain other breeds of lower class women that still fight. There might be Ursula bulls, and they might have a food in a den where they live, where that might be a collection of things too, because it makes how a human feels about the terrain and environment, of how it might be a collection to a fire hydrant from one group of people would be different than an airport in the Bible and the 5 terminals of Skokie, where that might have spatial in 1 hour of a terminal after the 19th of Skokie 2020, and 3 years after 2016, in between 2022 and the turn of different spatial relation to a domain of how to get those thoughts in an individual frame of outside a video, in the presence of a recorder that is in a certain day number, and a recording that's in a certain frame of that night, that relates to an alphabet of a Ziggy, an alphabet of a Moan, an alphabet of a Earth, that is a collection of all things of how I got from the hydrant to the planets, and from the animals to the age of the hydrant, and from the age of the terminal to the collection of all ABC Earth stratosphere, E by X hydrant stratosphere, where it might relate to people in the Bible versus the heart and the woman, that might relate to a feeling of reality, that someone says, hey, I might want to get a girl in real life, because sometimes when humans have different types of thoughts, sometimes Jewel Osco is not just a disability store. It sells uh, 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 drink. It sells different variety that's made from animals, food, and the ecosphere that animals might have to get to their domain when they already know that their purpose is to vegetate, eating metals and minerals that cause the brain to have a sophisticated relation to science and internal mineral anatomy that causes the flow of emotion and thoughts that might be separate from someone who might be old, or someone who a room for an old person might, a window might mean differently for a young man who says, oh, the hydrant might have minerals that's separated from this area of places outside of 9/11, and buildings and windows outside of age 14 that were ordered before 2013 attack, and 2020 coronavirus after whatever Pearl Harbor was before the latest thing in the century, long before 900 days before Skokie, 900 days before Crossroad, and then learning about U.S. history after CTC, after 1800, 1700 versus ancient Europe, and then ancient America before civilization after 1700 BC, and Noah, of the time frame of going back 5,000 years before President Truman, where there might be a coffee from McDonald's. If it's a big size, it sells something that's a merchandise and not a product that relates to the isolation of minerals that collect to a collection of how I might rise to a higher video of a process of an altitude of 1 year in Skokie versus the 11th to the 12th of the 9th month, where it might be 4 years in Skokie or 4 years in the first Steve. That might be a move on from the 5th year after an age of someone else, before a collection of a young man thoughts with the door closed, where there might not be someone able to harass or say that a boy, if he gets cratted by an old lady, he might have to uncrat through the fire hydrant and get a Bible, and a hydrant might be a different type of relation to woman at a time, that some old cranny might think that it belongs to them, because they'll get offended that a young man might be young, and the animal might be young, and a fire hydrant might not be from 1800, when a collection of as well as thoughts could come through the stratosphere, because there will be thoughts about 9/11, thoughts of yesterday, thoughts about God, thoughts about an owl could turn into a giraffe only if the hydrant collects 5 things, and a lion could turn into an eagle only if the hydrant collects 5 years worth of angles, and not from yesterday. 9/11 is different than the middle of the night ABC versus the middle of this video XYZ. So when imagine if a giraffe was saying I'm not old, but it was trying to get to the Bible to say that I don't want to be in the old person's domain, because when it's the 12th today, it might be 12 collection of all things from a young man, especially an airline that is outside of desplanes, outside of a walk before Skokie 1X, after attack 2004, before I was 19, attack 99, before 2016, after I was 22, because to collect outside of fear, it might not be collecting of small items. There might be like small pieces of wallets and phones. There might be a collection of big items, and a collection of human things, where there might be an old hair in a Bible, where there might be a helium of atmosphere of eco-structure of relation to woman, collection of things that were already in the Bible and things that are in American hydrant that rise to a fifth level. What if a hydrant was getting to level 5, or of a collection of things? Or what if a human being was there for a collection of things? Because like the woman would say, oh, what if I want to have feelings that I didn't know I could have, you see? Because that's why people will say, we see, because like sometimes people will say, oh, I want to do a breeding with someone a little bit powerful than Samantha. Mentioned after, the knight might not have mentioned her. It might have mentioned a zebra and not a giraffe. It might have mentioned something but that led to her, but it might have mentioned something that might have been a twerksum or candy lick that might have is not as light as the fire hydrant, is not as light as the book of the Bible versus the first hours of a night. And Skokie might be influenced by a hydrant and three nights of thoughts of a collection of zebras, hydrants, and something that might be in an environment versus something that might be from a different environment, but something that is in a connection that's not in an environment where there might be an animal or food in a curtain, and there might be a hydrant when I'm in my subconscious and I sleep. A hydrant might remind me of things at a certain age, where it's not just an environment of a harbor or something that is not related to the Bible of collection of things in between humans that might be a low level, who might not have their own environment, or they might not have things that relate to what it makes a young man feel about ABC video hydrant, how many levels are there to a giraffe in between 5 plantations and critical stages of life at a young age when a man wants to collect certain things that might relate to a woman, or breeding, or getting to a level of love and life that's not interfered with by witchcraft or people who claim that the domain of environment with a closed door belong to someone trying to make people fear and enter a house, saying that when the boy was going to get married, they say that he couldn't fight for himself and there was nothing that people could do before 2020 Skokie PNT Bay, because they claim that 233